I think that tits are funny. You know, you've got these great big sort of balloons hanging about in front of you with little popping things at the end. I think if you take out your tits, people just laugh. If you were a bloke and you exposed your tackle, that is a bit of a threat. There is a qualitative difference between tit and tackle.
Miriam, thank you so much for having me in your home.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to chat about your new book, Oh Miriam.
I know, I can't believe I did it.
Book 2.
Book 2, gosh.
In what different ways do people say Oh Miriam to you?
Oh, count not the ways. I mean, usually they go, oh, Miriam. It's usually kind of despair. And sometimes it's, oh, Miriam.
Is there a most deserving Oh Miriam that you can think of?
Deserving the smack? I don't know about, you mean praise? I don't think so. I'm just utterly worthless. Let's face it. I live to please myself, and that's a bit shameful. And then every now and again I'll do a good deed.
I think it's the secret of a long life, they say, living to please yourself. So many years ahead of you.
Well, let's hope I stay alive. I mean, it's I can't quite believe that I'm as old as I am. It's all come a bit suddenly, you know. But it is. It's a gift to be old, but it's also scary. So a lot of the time, I'm really quite frightened because I think, God, it might all end horribly, and then I get a bit nervous.
Do you have an ideal death in mind?
Well, I suppose it just would be to go to sleep, you know, to go to bed, not to piss yourself and wake up dead and be fine.
It's the ideal way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
And how have things changed for you since writing your first book a couple of years ago?
They have changed, actually, because it was very well received. I'm just going to fart, just a minute. Sometimes I do this. That's it. Just a little one. And a lot of people bought the book, which I didn't expect. I really, genuinely didn't. And so I think I'm better known now. And I find that, you know, it feeds my ego. And of course I'm much richer because I made a lot of money out of the book, which is why I wrote it.
And is that why you wrote the second one as well?
Of course it is. I mean, I couldn't believe it when they said, you know, we want another book.
And I would say that you have national treasure status. I'm declaring it. You're a national treasure. What might you like to do with such a status? Get rid of the Tories. How would you go about that?
Well, apart from shooting them all, I don't know what you do. I would try to improve education so that people were able to distinguish between the truth and the lies. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, then you would never vote Tory again.
Where do you think your strong sense of fairness came from?
I think it's something to do with being Jewish. Because when you experience prejudice and you observe it in your life and in your parents' lives, you feel a kind of rage that mustn't happen, must not be allowed to happen. And so you watch carefully to make sure that it doesn't.
And on the other side of your character, obviously there's the put your foot down side. On the other side, would you say that you're a flirt?
An unsuccessful flirt, I would say, yes. I always want to get a reaction. To be able to say something or do something and see another person respond. It's thrilling, it's intoxicating, it's satisfying. So that's what all the things I do are about eliciting a response. And flirting is a very useful tool to start things rolling.
And also you write in the book that flashing your boobs is another way to to shock people, get their attention?
Well, it used to be. I mean, I can't reach down far enough to do it now, but I used to. Because I think that tits are funny. You know, you've got these great big sort of balloons hanging about in front of you with little popping things at the end, and you think, what? You know, they've got to be used. They can't just be hidden. But I don't think that boobs are threatening. You see, I think if you take out your tits, people just laugh. If you were a bloke and you exposed your tackle, that is a bit of a threat. And people don't like that. I don't like it. So I do think it's different. There is a qualitative difference between tit and tackle.
You're not averse to mooning, though, either.
No, and again, I would say that the moon, the shape of the buttock and the cleft, it's not a threat. It's a sort of invitation for a tune, and therefore, you know, it's okay. I don't want to do anything that's threatening.
And what has been the most strong reaction you've had to either a moon or a boob flash?
The only reaction I've ever had is not, as I would have perhaps hoped, a little bit, admiration or the kindling of an erotic impulse. Oh no, just shrieks of laughter. That's all I get.
And we will move away from the lewd, but how does sucking men off manage to come up so often in a book?
Well, it happened. That's the thing. It was a frequent occurrence. And I think it was frequent because I was taught and told very firmly and clearly by my parents that you couldn't have intercourse. And when you're, you know, kind of moist and urgent, you've got to have something. Plus the fact, I think that I enjoyed the sense of power that it gave. I cannot believe that nobody else was cocksucking when I was. I mean, it was common practice. Surely I wasn't the only person, but I did it a lot. I did it well. I don't do it anymore, so don't ask. Don't ask.
And when you were regaling your friends with stories of that.
Are you embarrassed saying it?
Of sucking men off? No. Yes. What happened when you realised what it was like to have sex with women? Did you want to share in the same way?
I'm not a mouth person with women, actually. It's not my area with girls. I just, when I first was initiated into the joys of Sapphic love, I didn't know what it was. I mean, I couldn't quite believe when I was kissed for the first time by a woman. I just thought, wow. And I was gobsmacked, if that is an appropriate word. I mean, I was just amazed because the emotion and the reaction was so much more than for men. You know, I mean, it was just a mouth exercise with men, but it was different with a girl. It really was. I think that sex is a good thing and it should be available and not sniggered about for everyone. You know, let's have as much as we can while we can and enjoy it and not be judgmental. That's my attitude to it. But if you only talk about sex, it's incredibly boring. There's a lot more. Yeah, so let's move on.
Let's move on. So there's a lot of labels that society might put on you. I wondered how you would describe yourself.
A kind and funny old lady.
And are there any labels that society puts on you that you're not keen on?
I think, roly-poly dyke, I don't like much, that kind of thing. Because I want the whole of me to be acknowledged, really, just not the absurdities, but the realities.
And how do you balance your love of being Jewish with your dislike of religion?
I don't know that I balance it, because it's painful. I was brought up by an Orthodox Jewish family. They weren't very Orthodox, but they were observant. And God was a reality for my mother and father. But at some point, I don't know exactly when, I just stopped believing. And then I saw only hypocrisy and greed and something that I couldn't accept. Lies and controlling. And I didn't like that. So I moved away from my own religion. Look, I think Jesus was a jolly nice bloke. I think he was a socialist. He was a carpenter, he's a workman, and a good speaker, educated, trying to make things better for the people around him. For me, that's politics. It's not religion. So I don't believe he was the Son of God. I don't believe in God, but I do believe in morality. I think there is a thing good and a thing evil, and you know which is which. And it's up to you to make the choice. That I believe.
Would you say that you're proud of being Jewish?
Very. I'm very proud of it. I don't like all the Jews I know, and I think Netanyahu is a complete arse, frankly, and has harmed Israel a great deal. But the heritage, the bravery, the charm of the Jews is tremendous, and I use it for all I can get. Are you one?
Yes.
I thought you might be.
And you have a fascination, a passion for genealogy.
Yeah.
Genealogy.
That's right, genealogy.
I always say it wrong.
It's not an ology, it's an allergy.
What would you say is the best thing that's come out of that for you?
The best thing has been to discover that I can relate to and be friends with people that I don't agree with politically. That it has opened up the world a little bit to me, and that I enjoy. And the other thing, of course, is there is a pleasure in learning from whence you came. Who were my ancestors? What did they do? And how did they die? How did they live and how did they die? And that, it's very interesting. I do get a fulfillment from knowing about that. And I hope that everybody studies their family tree and learns from whence they came.
Does it make you feel different about who you are?
It makes me more sure, actually. And also it gives me a link to the dispossessed of the world, the refugees. The world is very cruel to those people, but I'm not, because I know I'm one of them. My family were immigrants. They suffered in poverty and in terror also. It gives you a sense of the cruelties that abound in the world, and a pointer not to follow wickedness, to follow decency and kindness.
And when you are acting, which parts of yourself go into those roles? Do you take that decency and kindness, or does it massively depend on the character?
The text has to rule. So you go to the text, and if the text shows you or directs you, points you to a part of yourself that you can use, then you kind of turn that facet upwards and use it. All you've got when you're acting is who you are. You've only got your own, your body, your sensations, your voice. Those are the things that you can create a character with. And that's the job. You create a character with the tools at your disposal. And I'm lucky because I'm many-faceted. I have many facets, and I can turn whichever one I want to fit the text.
And you're about to play a role in a very, very, very famous show, Doctor Who, or you've played the role, but it's going to come out. What can you tell me about the Meep in Doctor Who?
Well, I don't think I'm allowed to tell you very much, but I was delighted to be able to do it, and I know that I'm going to make some money out of it. That's the thing, because I'll be able to go to all those conventions. I have a right to be there as the Meep, and I enjoyed it because the Meep is a character, a monster who pretends to be lovely and nice and sweet, but underneath is completely cruel and wicked, destructive. I mean, a horrible thing, and it's great fun.
To be a villain.
To be a villain. To hide and be a villain.
And I don't think I can close the interview without talking about your love of garlic and onion. Because I have so many curiosities here. How did you discover that you liked them raw?
I like an explosion in my mouth, obviously. And garlic and onions explode. And radishes. You know, these things, they are pleasing because you bite into them and immediately there's this river of heat that runs through your throat, and it's heaven. I love it.
Has the smell ever been an issue?
Not with me. Maybe with other people. Anyway, I think, garlic breath is better than just bad breath.
Certainly, you know what it is.
You know what it is and you can deal with it. No, I do like another fart coming up. Hang on. There we go.
Talking of that, do they have any health benefits?
Farting? Oh, do you mean garlic?
Garlic. Garlic and onion.
I think garlic is supposed to be quite a healthy, cleansing sort of vegetable. I don't eat it because it's good for me. I just enjoy it, and I'm not going to stop.
Do you think that would be your motto, your advice in life, for people to just enjoy what they enjoy?
Yes, life is for living. Don't wait about, because life doesn't wait. Seize the day.
On that note, Miriam, thank you so much.
It was lovely to talk to you, Ollie. Thank you.